Hello and welcome to the Game Developer Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Brian Francis.
And I am GDC's Content Marketing Manager, Beth Elderkin.
And we're back for another episode of GDC Side Quest on the Game Developer Podcast. Hey Beth, I hear you got a pretty cool guest today on your little section of the podcast here.
I was extremely fortunate to get a chance to talk to Jennifer Hale, an amazing voice actor who's been in the industry for such a long time. And my personal fandom came out a little bit, not gonna lie. I've been a huge fan of her for a long time. My sisters and I used to dress up as the characters from Totally Spies. So I was Clover, though. I was not Sam. My sister was Sam.
Yeah, oh my god, the Jennifer Hale, just like so many other like great video game voice actors and animation voice actors, like there's the roles, that like made their careers and like they really like people show up for at cons. But then there's the like, the whole like working actor bit of it where, like, yeah, they showed up for, recording like 1 or 2 days of some random animated show. They were the leads in some random animated show that's like only remembered by, like the kids who caught it on 10 a.m. but didn't quite stick the cultural landing. Not to slight Totally Spies here. I remember it. I do remember it, but yeah, there's so much of like despite how celebrity-ish like voice acting, high-level voice acting you can get, like the degree of how much this is work, this is a job, this is a craft as part of their career is like a really exciting thing to talk about and celebrate.
It is, and Jennifer is going to be at the 2026 GDC Festival of Gaming. So she's 2 panels she's participating in. One is about helping developers working with AI under the SAG-AFTRA agreement. So helping developers and voice actors understand what the rules and regulations are and how both actors and developers can protect themselves and protect their IP. And then she's also doing another one that I am super excited about personally on Tuesday called Page to Booth. So you're going to have some narrative designers, production, voice actors, essentially doing a live reading.
This is one of the little examples of what you guys on the GDC team have been talking about with quote unquote serving the whole B2B ecosystem, right? And obviously when we start there, it's very easy, to spread out into funding and publishing and these other very like, we'll say not as creative, not as hands-on with making the game tasks, but voice acting is 1, super creative, and 2, depending on the scale of the game, like as essential or as hands-on or as integral to a game's success.
Yes, and it's not even limited to voice actor. It's performance overall because of mocap, everything motion capture has been able to achieve. Yeah. Actors are able to come in and bring in their entire personality and their entire set of skills into the roles that they're portraying. And it's been a conversation for a long time of, how do we better engage with those who are bringing these characters to life, not just narrative designers, not just production, but also the actors themselves.
This is a really interesting and evolving field because you have situations where I think everyone in the industry is doing a really good job recognizing the fact that when we're talking about, people's favorite characters in the game is what makes for like a best performance or best character in a game. You're talking about something that's really constructed by like 4 or 5 people. Erika Ishii, they made a point to celebrate all those folks when they accepted the award for best character at the DICE Awards this year. And really talking about how, this is a bunch of working class professions coming together to make something unforgettable for players. And so performers of all types getting a big welcome home at GDC it makes me really happy, I'll say that.
It makes me really happy too. And it's not even just a welcoming, it's also a chance for them to, share their work, share their expertise. GDC is a lot of learning, a lot of connection, a lot of growth. All of our sessions teach you so much and help you understand so much about the industry. And actors should be a part of that conversation, especially for those who may not have a background in voice acting or a background in motion capture. For example, Samantha Bayart, who we're going to be talking to for the GDC Side Quest at GDC Festival of Gaming, so be on the lookout for that. Their background is in stage. So for them, transitioning into games is a completely different experience than someone coming from voice acting into the game space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we could keep talking about this ourselves, but I'm not Jennifer Hale. Let's take you to the interview, take you, dear listeners, to Beth's wonderful interview with Jennifer Hale.
Today, I am really excited to welcome Jennifer Hale, BAFTA-nominated voice actor who has over 3 decades in the industry. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Beth. It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much.
I mean, you have had an amazing career. It's spanned over decades in the video game industry and other voice acting roles. I personally
Yeah.
remember you as Sam from Totally Spies.
Oh, yes. Yay. Oh, God. I love that. Love that show.
But speaking of video games specifically, how have you seen the role of performers and voice actors evolve since you started?
Oh, it's been so exciting. So exciting. I've loved watching the whole journey and I love watching it continue. One of the cool things that's happened is the technology has evolved and gotten more detailed, more specific, more compelling in terms of the visuals that can be brought. Then the acting gets to drop back into more of a film and television style, as opposed to that little presentational edge we had to have in the beginning. We get to drop back and just live the moments. And then performance capture is also really expanding what we can do.
Can you share a moment in your career where you really felt your performance in a scene or an action or a narrative moment really transformed the narrative or impact of a game?
Ooh, man. I would never presume that. I would love to, but no. I mean, I love the question because it helps me, really talk about the rest of the team. Because this is such a group effort. It is such an incredible collaboration among, so many people over years. It's one of the most intense collaborative art forms out there. And by the time words get to me and I get to have them come out of my mouth, I mean, they started with the people who I think should be sitting in my seat, which are the writers. Writers make the world go round. Writers are everything. Writers are just, oh, I think so highly of them. Without them, we have nothing to do. And that spark of imagination then goes to a producer who's got the cojones to get out there and make this thing happen, which is an entire other endeavor. And just shout out to every single person along the pathway. I can recall times when I have felt elevated in a session as a craftsperson by the material I was getting to do. I can absolutely talk about those. I mean, there were some really beautiful moments, especially recording near the end of Mass Effect 3 that were just like, wow, everything came together so beautifully. And I mean, but so many projects, The Long Dark, my God, we just finished recording some additional material. It's just extraordinary. And then you've got things as incredibly fun as like Brutal Legend, and fun, crazy, silly things like that are just, elevating can be intense. It can be emotional and deep and heartfelt. And it can also be just what makes you laugh your backside off and just have an incredible time and connect to people. This is the thing about games that is it's one of the many things that are so special about games. Games pull people into worlds for huge extended periods of time and can change the way people think and change who they connect to and change their lives. I mean, of course, film, TV can also do that as well, but games have this deep, deep hook that is just undeniable.
I absolutely agree. And I will say the Mass Effect series was, I believe, the first series I completed from beginning to end. When you had the DLC in
Yes.
the
Yes.
Citadel, oh, it got me. It got me quite a bit.
Mhm.
I love that you bring up collaboration because
Yeah.
that's a field that I feel like is really growing between voice actors, narrative designers, production. Do you feel like there's more collaboration now than there has been in the past?
I think there is. I see it more as a result of time, gatherings like this, and our ability to connect with each other digitally. Because the workflow, I mean, good Lord, games are intense, man. That workflow is brutal. And, the time to connect is minimal. But because of events like this, and because of the ways that we can reach out to each other, and because it is a forward-thinking, open community, in spite of NDAs and things like that, I think people can collaborate, cooperate, and sort of cheer each other on across projects.
Absolutely. And what do you feel actors bring to these roles in video games that not necessarily overlooked by developers or audiences? As you know, our audience is primarily game developers and industry professionals. What would you love for them to understand more about what you're bringing into the space?
It's so interesting. Ironically, one of the things I learned in the strike last year was how much devs, producers, people on that, quote, other side of the table value us. And it's really cool to to see that. It's really humbling, and it's an honor, and it's relieving. Honestly, I think there's a disconnect at the very top in some instances to a lot of the creative, but that's normal, and that's a load we all bear, and we can all begin to chip away at, or continue, I should say, to chip away at. One of the things I'd love to communicate to devs is bring us in groups. A lot of recording now is remote. I live on an island off the coast of Canada, and Steve Bloom's in Hawaii. Like, everybody's all over the place. We can still do remote sessions ensemble. And having people together in a session brings an extra element, because what is really that extra little X factor that actors can bring in that elevates your game is the human soul. It's the human soul. And ain't nothing like it. And when you combine humans with unique little souls in a room and you let them rip creatively, incredible things happen. And you just, even if you stick word for word, punctuation to punctuation to the script, there's an energy that you can't explain. And it's that cuts through to the player and to your community and to your audience, and really digs that groove deeper into the hearts of everyone about your game.
Do you have an example of that happening at some point in a recent game where you had that collaborative environment where you were able to, spar off with your fellow voice actors?
Oh, yes. In David Hayter did an incredible thing, but when he did the first Metal Gear, it's not as recent, but when he did the first Metal Gear, he was, just my buddy David Hayter, the actor. And then by the time the second one rolled around, he had become, super successful, amazing writer, David Hayter, and the voice of Solid Snake already. And he used that leverage to negotiate a lot of great things for us, including that we recorded in a group. And we did the same thing in Onimusha Baraden, and in BioShock Infinite. Now, this is still some time ago, but Ken brought Oliver Vaquer, who's brilliant, and I in at the same time, because we were the Lutece twins. And we got to do the scene as written. And then Ken had the confidence and the creative intelligence to say, okay, we've got one as written, let's play. And we would just riff and have a great time, and it was extraordinary. It was really extraordinary.
Did any of those riffs make it into the final product?
I believe they did.
Ooh, I'll have to replay that one sometime and try and catch that.
Yeah.
So I do want to transition topics to talk a little bit about generative AI tools, actor protection, because I know that is a big topic of yours. That's what you're talking about at GDC 2026. We've seen generative AI tools becoming more prevalent in the industry over the past couple of years. Before we talk about protections, are there opportunities that you see for these tools to enhance the work of performers or developers?
I think there are opportunities that exist in areas that I don't necessarily touch. I imagine there are efficiencies, there are, great things that are possible. Look, AI is not going anywhere. It's part of our reality, and I believe that one must accept what is, but we are also responsible for it. And this is the thing I say over and over. I'll say it again. AI is not yet an independent intelligence. It's a tool. And the tool does what the human holding the tool tells it to. And we are the canaries in the coal mine as creators and performers. It is going to impact everyone's employment. Nearly everyone's. There'll be some jobs that aren't touched by it, but not many. And I think it's really important, number one, not to other this technology like we sometimes other each other. I think we got to stop that all around. I think it's important to collaborate with it consciously. As actors, what we're asking for is consent. Like, do I give you permission to use my voice in any way, whether it's generative and it's mixed with a bunch of others and you can't really tell? You can tell. I can hear my rhythms in other humans copying my work, or who learned from my work, or who are honoring whatever came before them, including my work. Like, I can hear it. You can hear it. So consent. Control. I don't want it used in some situations. I don't want an AI to do a performance I could have done, because I can inform it with my human soul that is however many days or years more informed, intelligent, and experienced than it was the last time I worked on that project. I have so much to bring that you don't even know about and can't conceive of. Let me bring it. So control, consent, and then compensation. You can't take away someone's ability to make a living and not pay them for it. It is wrong. It is wrong. Ain't nobody making you do it. You do it or you don't.
it can be, it is a choice in a lot of the circumstances.
And if we choose together, we are stronger. If we stand up and speak to the good in everyone, and people have this, decision makers at the very top have this very narrow lens that landed on us sometime in the 70s about shareholder supremacy, that the well-being of shareholders is better than everybody else's well-being, and it ain't. It ain't, the piece of me that holds shares in anything is not better than the rest of me, or any of us, we need to get by, and we got to check ourselves. We got to check our values. And we do that as a group. We can't go, I'm not going to say anything. We have to all stand up, and we don't have to be jerks about it. We can simply be kind and quiet and say, you know what, this doesn't sit right with me. There's some beautiful AI art online, and I didn't do the create an AI version of me thing because it just didn't sit right with me. And now I have clarification as we all develop greater literacy around this. I have clarification about why. How we're trying to catch up with this. We can't even, as you see, form words around it because it's so new. But I realized I don't feel right taking work away from an artist. But there are artists out there who are using these technological tools to create beautiful things. There's a collaboration. There's a train I can sit on and feel good and feel like I'm being ethical and considerate. It's about thinking long term. It's not sustainable to remove people's ability to feed themselves while you're making more and more money. Have you looked at history? That doesn't go well. Yeah.
So what can actors do to safeguard their work, to make sure that their voices aren't being used without that consent, that they're being compensated? Because AI can replicate performances using the LLM. It can even create new things from it.
Yeah, it can. It doesn't have the same spark. But what we can do, number one, is contact your representatives. A group called NAVA, an organization called NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, which also has the Canadian, Australian, Latin American equivalents. Latin American's called LAVA, which I just think is the best thing in the world. And support them. They are lobbying Congress. Call your representatives if you live in the U.S. Call your representatives no matter where you live. Make your voice heard about what you want. Because, look, they want to get voted back in. If you get loud enough, they'll go, oh, I won't get voted back in if I support this. No, you won't. So make your voice heard. Don't leave the adulting to anyone else. Make your voice heard. Read your contracts. The same organization, NAVA, has an AI writer that you can use whenever you work. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, vetted by several attorneys. And if someone won't sign it, get curious about why. And unless you completely understand and support their why, you got to step away. When I first started, it was terrifying. I had no body of work underneath me, and I lived in a non-union market, and they wanted to take my small market car commercials and have them in perpetuity, on camera and voiceover. And I was still in my late teens. Presumptuous self said, I won't sign this contract, but you can have it for 5 years. And they're like, oh, okay, who do you think you are? And I was like, I'm just being cautious. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. Yeah, it took courage, and I had to adult it, and it was terrifying. Adulting's nauseating sometimes, but you have to do it.
It's actually great that you bring up your experiences as a younger voice actor, because we do have actors who are now entering this industry wanting to break into voice acting, and they're breaking in during a time when these kind of things can happen, these kind of contracts can get signed.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to aspiring voice actors during this time to help them break into the industry and have that success?
Well, I started a site called skillshub.life that is for both working actors like myself and for newcomers and people in the in-between. The structure of that site is actually how I started my career, and it's what I recommend. Whether you do it through skillshub.life or you do it somewhere else, find mentors. We have like 100 coaches now, working actors, casting directors, voice directors, and you get them by the minute. You can hire them for 10 minutes and pick their brain. You could, reach out to a working actor, whether it's through us or someone else. Get their opinion. Talk to